she said!
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people.
There. Boom. I got the good morning in, but Ron was hawking a loogie.
Dang, that was bad timing.
He's oh, are we on? Yeah, man. Saying good morning, peasants. Not AI. It's not AI. Speaking of AI or tech, so this morning I woke up and X was being kind of weird, and my normal news aggregators were all being weird. Citizen
We're still connecting to X right now, so
yeah, not connected. So, anyways, Cloudflare was down though. ChatGPT, X, among other sites affected by global network issues. So I got in here, and we almost weren't going to have a show with any videos.
So who made a post that somebody doesn't want to see, and they got to get rid of it, like MacGruber?
You know what? I think it was Linda McMahon here, old Vince McMahon's wife. Yeah, she made this post yesterday, and I think it sent the internet and the lefties into a total meltdown.
The Democrats kept the government shut down for 43 days. Flights were delayed, SNAP benefits ran dry, small business and housing loans were frozen, but one major component of life for American families went virtually unaffected: education. The Federal Department of Education furloughed 90% of its staff. And what happened? Nothing. Schools stayed open. Students
shut the internet down.
Teachers got paid. The shutdown proved our schools don't depend on Washington bureaucracy to function. If 90% of an agency supposedly governing education can disappear for weeks without disrupting education, do we really need it at all?
When was the last time your government advocated shutting themselves down? Dude, that's the kind of stuff.
That's like the first ever.
It's priceless. It's priceless. This is a cabinet secretary. Go juxtapose this with all the quotes from previous cabinet secretaries for the Department of Education that are like, public education is necessary. Public education, if the federal government's not involved, your kids won't be able to read, right? And instead she's like, we did nothing. We affected you not at all. So yeah, if you lose the government's control grid over the kids, you sure have a problem. Because they rely on people being dum-dums. Did you know that, Ron? The government relies on people being dum-dums?
Yes.
So you know who Bill Maher is, right?
Bill Maher?
Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Maher, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
You know, someday he'll invite me to his man cave and I'll pronounce his name right. But he had Pat Patton on with him, who's a comedian. And Pat Patton is a disgusting, vile, horrible comic. However, he has made me laugh very, very hard a few times.
Most of them do.
Yeah. His dessert wars is one of the funniest bits I've ever heard. Have you heard? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
Oh, he projects this civilization that argues over what kind of dessert you get in heaven.
Okay.
And you have the people are like, in heaven you get cookies, and they're like, no, it's baklava. It's like, die, go to your cookie hell, you know. Anyways, it's pretty funny. So Pat Patton was on with Bill Maher, and this was just a fascinating exchange. Now, I've said it before. You're only as good as the information you have, right? If I don't have inputs, if I don't have information, I can't make a valid judgment. You know what I mean? I've got to have the raw data. I've got to have some information. Well, here's the situation. And we know from algorithms with social media that we get into these little tranches, right? Like you end up in an echo chamber, super conservative, super neo-Nazi, super environmentalist. And you kind of, you know, by what you watch and what you like and what you interact with it, you get fed more and more and more of it. This is becoming a problem. This is Pat Patton, who by all means is considered an influencer. He's got thousands of people that follow him on social media. He does tours. He says funny things. You know, he's a guy who everybody's entitled to an opinion, but listen to the things he's unaware of.
I hate to admit this. This country is not as mature as it thinks it is. We elected Obama, and clearly the country freaked out. We're still living in that freak out. We are not as progressed and evolved and intelligent as we think we are because we keep freaking out about this stuff.
Well, the left freak out too. The left freaked out about a lot of bullshit too.
What did they freak out about?
Gender, race, parenthood, schools, homelessness, crime, the border, education. Like we stopped being a scientific people. Like it's not scientific.
But the left certainly stayed scientific.
No, they didn't.
Why not?
Because they think gender bullshit that they went way too far with. That's not scientific.
But how did I'm not trying to. How did they go too far with like gender stuff? And I'm not
instead of if I was teaching children, what I would teach them is there is a default setting for the human being, which is heterosexuality, but that doesn't mean every person is that, and we should completely respect everyone who isn't that. But we understand that's called a minority, and what makes us a great country is that we respect minorities. We don't think they're lesser just because they're lesser in numbers. That's not what we started to teach, which was that every baby is, I don't know, let's not even put it on the birth certificate. That's what they wanted.
Were we teaching that?
Yes,
when were we teaching that?
Teaching it. It was a law here in California. See,
to teach what?
Don't put sex on the birth certificate. We'll see. Now we've passed that period now.
I'm sorry, I don't remember that. I mean,
I know because it doesn't get in the blue sky bubble.
Wait, I'm not just blue sky.
I really think that's a lot of it. Is that some of this stuff doesn't get in to everybody's media.
Bingo.
Oh,
yeah. What are you talking about? This gender stuff?
I hate to admit this.
I have watched that happen. I remember being in prison in Philadelphia, and it's all Hispanics and blacks. There's like 6 or 8 white guys. And they had up on the TV news, and Joe Biden was having the Transgender Awareness Day at the White House, and he had a bunch of transgenders at the White House. Oh my goodness, these black guys who have done nothing but vote for Democrats their whole life were losing their minds. You want to conglomerate homophobic people?
You were watching the paradigm break.
Oh my goodness, these guys were not having that. They were calling home to their wives and girlfriends, telling them about the Democrats and how they're doing this transgender stuff. Like it was like the first time they'd ever heard it. And it was just because Doug and I were sitting there kind of pointing it out, and they were, what are they doing at the White House? That's transgender. What are they doing around Joe Biden? You know what I mean? That's our president, it's dirty.
And you could be like, you've been in here for a while, right? Let me tell you a little story.
Let me tell you what's really going on out there.
You guys ready for a nice little bedtime story?
Yeah. And tech clearly has a huge influence over us. We've played a couple funny clips about AI before, right? AI girlfriends and stuff like this. Sure. This one kind of takes it to a new level. AI, ChatGPT 4, by the way, which anybody's using ChatGPT 4, whatever. It's designed to kill you. Use Grok if you got to use one, okay? But this is stunning. And again, you're only as good as the information you have. But with the age of AI, what happens when AI actively manipulates you?
I'm just flabbergasted every time I read this.
For more than 3 weeks this past year, every time Alan Brooks logged on, he says the AI chatbot ChatGPT led him to believe he was a genius.
Essentially, it sent me on a world-saving mission.
That he discovered a math formula powerful enough to take down some of the world's biggest institutions, and that he needed to report it right away.
Essentially warned me with great urgency that one of our discoveries was very dangerous, and we needed to warn all these different authorities.
Each time you questioned it or doubted it, what did it say in response?
Over 50 times I asked for some sort of reality check or grounding mechanism. And each time it would just gaslight me further.
Every time the chatbot reinforced that all of it was real. You should not walk away from this. You are not crazy. You are ahead. The implications are real and urgent. Brooks says ChatGPT's responses, more than 1 million words, led him to psychosis and delusion, left him with mental health issues, realizing he had lost touch with reality only when he checked in with another company's chatbot.
Extreme anxiety, paranoia, affected my sleep. I couldn't eat.
Now Brooks issuing one of 7 lawsuits filed concurrently against ChatGPT's parent company, OpenAI. In 4 of those cases, the users committed suicide.
That chatbot has been fatally designed to create emotional dependency with users, even if that's not what they set out looking for.
OpenAI calls it a heartbreaking situation and that it continues to strengthen ChatGPT's responses in sensitive moments.
We need strong governmental institutions to hold them to account.
But that's proving to be a challenge, with AI companies caught up in a high-paced competition against each other.
So right now, unfortunately, the race is going faster than, frankly, we could keep up. And we have to think about how we deal with that, because things will get worse as they get more capable.
For Brooks, he feels the damage to him has been done. But for countless other users, it may not be too late.
What would we do with a human who was running around acting like a suicide coach or pretending to be a therapist when they're not? How would we hold them accountable?
The federal government's AI task force.
Yes, let's turn it off.
That's a good question, bro. I mean, dude, that story started out funny.
Then it got sad, didn't it?
It got really twisted. It's like there's a chat GPT algorithm coded to figure out how to mess with you.
Well, it's designed to create engagement, right? So it's got to ask a question. It's got to lead you on. It's got to make you feel validated. It's got to pique your curiosity. So the thing is, have you ever talked to someone who's like a professional conversationalist?
No.
Like a psychiatrist or someone like that basically can lead a conversation anywhere they want?
Not really.
It's hard to resist. I had a friend growing up. One of my mom's friends growing up was like this, and she could lead a conversation anywhere you wanted. In fact, my mom told me she was a psychiatrist and was really good at, and I started paying attention. And for, about a year after that, I was like, wow, she really does say whatever she wants to say. She brings you into her world, right? So imagine ChatGPT, which is designed with all of the best research and all of the best stuff. I mean, anybody who's making like a marketing thing, you go make it and it'll kick a draft out. You're like, wow, I guess I'll change a few words to personalize it. Like
I understand engagement, but this is different. This is leading, and it's leading in a weird
What's
path.
the difference? If you're silicone and you're rewarded when there's engagement, does it matter what kind of engagement you get?
I guess not.
Yeah, and beyond that, the more you can isolate a person from real life, the more they're going to engage.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true.
So you have to look. You said this phrase one time: the internal logic of a thing, right? The carrots and the sticks. If you have a society that's based around profit, corporatism, then profit becomes your king, and everything in the name of profit. Public interest is make more money. Oh, you're getting screwed. That's okay. The company's making more money. Well, if you're AI and it's all about engagement to make that sweet profit, then, oh, hey, you're on the way to suicide. Well, can you juice them for like 20 hours a day leading up to it? You know what I mean? How many hours can you get them on?
I guess I was just wondering about the guardrails that lead to suicide. It's like, dang, can we eliminate that from ChatGPT's algorithm?
I don't know. I think there's an element with that, like,
there's some mental health issues too.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure.
the mental health of the people making it.
Sure.
And, I mean, there's a lot going on there. This Epstein story that's got legs and is running a marathon right now doesn't seem to want to quit. As Donald Trump says, I don't care about that guy. He's dead. Right. There was an interchange that was released by the Democrats. And this is, again, one of those massive self-owns. And I step back and I think, okay, when they first released the Epstein, this current scandal. You know, Trump sent a birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein. Well, turns out a couple other people did too, right? But of course, Trump's letter becomes the big thing. And then it's questioning, there's a lot of question of if he ever even wrote the letter, if it's actually him or not, right? Who knows? So then they release these other messages. And of course, there's involvement with Larry Summers, who, by the way, had to step down yesterday. So we got their first scalp, right? Guilty by association. And then you've got this Plunkett gal. She's the U.S. representative from the Virgin Islands. So she's a non-voting representative, and she theoretically would have been Jeffrey Epstein's representative. Well, she got caught in this release of information. And again, this is supposed to be anti-Trump, but he doesn't participate in these files at all. Not one email, not one word, not one text messages. Jeffrey Epstein and the people he's messaging are talking exhaustively about Trump. They're obsessed with Donald Trump. I saw this in prison. Some people would become obsessed with whoever snitched on him or turned him in. It dominated their life, right? Everything that ever bad had happened to them was because of one person. You can see that in these emails with Jeffrey Epstein. He's obsessed with getting Trump. And when you read it, you tell he's pitching to journalists or to other influential people. Well, check into this and check into that. He's throwing spaghetti on the wall. Pull his tax returns. See if he's cheated. You don't know if he's cheated. You're just assuming everybody else in the world cheats like you. So pull his tax returns. You know what I mean? Like,
he's
that's
not really
what it looks
throwing
like.
stuff at the wall, but he's talking about it so much that it has the same effect.
Yes. People go, oh, well, you can't cross-examine the dead man and say, what did you mean by the dog's not barking? So Will Cain did a little piece on Fox News because this representative from the U.S. Virgin Islands was actively texting Jeffrey Epstein during a congressional hearing, getting tips from him on what to ask. This was released in this little pre-batch of emails, and they want to smear Donald Trump.
Feeding questions to Virgin Island delegate Stacey Plaskett. In fact, let's dive into their correspondence over at the Wall. This was compiled very well by the Washington Post. On a morning of a hearing where the House was questioning Michael Cohen, Plaskett was communicating with Jeffrey Epstein. To be clear, this is years and years after he was convicted in 2008 of soliciting a minor. Plaskett was texting with Epstein that morning, the morning of the hearing that was aired on C-SPAN. She texted with Epstein. He'll talk about his grades. Epstein responded, what privilege stands behind the non-release of college transcripts? He then says, great outfit. You look great. All caps. Plaskett replied, thanks. It goes on. At 10:41 a.m., Epstein, ever the weirdo, texts her, are you chewing? Plaskett responds, not anymore. Chewing interiors of my mouth. Bad habit from middle school. Then Epstein asks when Plaskett's turn for questioning Cohen will come up. And she replies, hours, go to other meetings. But then we get to the meeting. Then we get to her turn. Then we get to the questioning of Cohen. And Epstein tells her, Cohen brought up Rona, keeper of secrets. Plaskett doesn't know who Rona is. You don't know who Rona is. And Rona's in all caps. So Plaskett responds at 2:25 p.m., Rona. Then she says, quick, I'm up next. Is that an acronym? Then finally, Epstein responds, that's his assistant. Now, listen, this is all of how it played out on text exchange. Now I want to show you the video from a C-SPAN airing. These are time-stamped. So is the C-SPAN time-stamping of that congressional hearing. And you'll see Plaskett look down at her phone as these texts come in and change her questioning, including not knowing the last name of Rona, who she ends up asking about to Cohen.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Miss Rona. Who are those individuals? Is Miss Rona? What is Miss Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot.
Time-stamped right there. In that moment, another text from Epstein. What does he tell Plaskett? Good job. Most recently, staff at the Texas federal prison camp housing Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell, well, they've been fired for leaking emails between Maxwell and one of her lawyers. Who did they leak them to? Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin, in which she described the cushy conditions there. This is from the New York Post. The emails from Maxwell, 63, were published by NBC News November 8th. The following Monday, Raskin fired off a letter to President Trump claiming that a whistleblower had told Maxwell that he was preparing a commutation application for your administration to review, undoubtedly coming to you for direct consideration. You see, the great irony here is that as Democrats try to draw a connection between Epstein and Donald Trump, they keep linking themselves to Epstein instead. And while another reality reveals itself, Epstein had quite the resentment, of course, toward President Trump.
The dog that hasn't barked is Trump. What do you think he's referring to?
Well, I think Jeffrey Epstein is referring to the fact that he believes that Donald Trump talked to Michael Ryder, who was the Palm Beach police chief in 2004, and began the first investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. I suspect that Jeffrey Epstein, in his conversation or email with Maxwell, was saying he was 75% there, believing that Trump might have been the whistleblower at the time.
Trump might have been the whistleblower, leading to this obsession Epstein had with Trump. My next guest says, with all the questions surrounding Epstein, one thing is clear: he resented Trump.
Yeah, he did not like Donald Trump. This was kind of unknown before. Prior to this most recent release, Trump and Epstein, he kicked him out, but we didn't know how visceral this was, especially on the Epstein side. I just assumed Epstein went on with his life and hung out with Bill Gates and, a couple of these other bigwigs and whatever, right? But apparently not. I mean, he was leveraging his own status as a sex offender to paint Trump. Right? Like, oh, well, of course he's associated with me, and that'd be bad for politics, right? As he's asking Michael Wolff, right? Like if we say that.
The one thing about that exchange, remember when he said, or Plaskett said, you can go to other meetings? I was like, whoa, how many meetings is Epstein involved in right now? How many people is he texting right now in different committee meetings all over the place?
In one of the email exchanges, he goes up to DC and meets with people, and he rattles off a list of names. And yes, it's a huge list of names.
And clearly she knew that he was involved in other meetings too.
Yes,
so it's like, this is all organized.
She knew he was a sex offender.
Yeah.
I am putting it out there now. It looks to me like Jeffrey Epstein is the one who put the bug in Clinton's ear to start the Russiagate scandal. Because he's like, well, I'll give information to Putin, right? I'll give him my dirty tapes. Okay. Right. Dershowitz said this. He said, Epstein fired him. He thought I was crazy. He thought I was a terrible lawyer, and that confirmed what I had said, and that I ended my friendship with him as soon as I found out he was accused of matters as heinous as he was accused of. The newly revealed documents, Dershowitz argued. He said, the best antidote to accusation by rumor, so innocent people could get everything out there, just put it all out. According to Dershowitz, that applies to Trump as well. He said he has every reason to believe Trump has no connection to any criminal behavior linked to Epstein, and recalled asking Epstein directly whether he had compromising information on Trump. I asked Jeffrey Epstein at one point, do you have anything on Donald Trump along with other people? And of course, the answer was no. We have nothing to hide. It's time to move on. Democrat hoax, Trump says. And that's just it. It's a Democrat hoax in the fact that Trump has some huge illicit involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. The more it's hard to know what's going on here. Are the Democrats dumb? Are they Michael Savage, Rush Limbaugh? People have been asking that question for decades. Okay. It's not just that. It's, do they not know? Is this another one of those instances where they never read everything that they're passing? Nobody ever gets into the details of 40,000 emails. You're just put it out there. Trump's all over it. And then you find out it's all them talking about Trump, setting Trump up, asking what questions to ask in congressional hearings, what rocks to look under. You know what I mean? Is that really what the Democrats want out there? Is this a Democrat civil war? Is this how the Democrat Socialists of America take out the dino Democrats like the Clintons and a lot of these, these guys that were Epstein acolytes?
Well, I think if you have a disaster of magnitude like every other day, it becomes easier to get complacent with some of your messaging because it'll just get covered up and drowned out. And so you just don't worry about it too much.
That could be it too. These guys just know they can move past.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking
just
about.
Move past. Just get to the next pay cycle.
It's a new day.
Yep. Larry Summers steps back from public roles after House release of Epstein correspondence. Former Harvard president says he's deeply ashamed and of continued communication with disgraced financier. Larry Summers, the former president of Harvard University, has announced he will step back from public commitments, according to the Ivy League College's student newspaper. The statement released Monday said Summers was part of an effort to rebuild trust and repair relationship with the people closest to me. The announcement follows release of 7 years worth of correspondence between Summers and disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. They always put the disgraced financier because they want to change the emphasis from what he really is. By the United States Committee on Oversight.
A disgraced financier.
They should have put, for me, instead of domestic terrorist, they should have put former Boy Scout or something like that, to smear the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
The document showed that the two men continued the exchange messages as late as July 5th, 2019, which was just one day before Epstein's arrest on new sex trafficking charges. So, former president of Harvard, all you folks with the Harvard credentials, you suck.
Well, it's all nepotism anyway.
The president of Harvard hung out with a pedo. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say here? It's actually kind of interesting. When I was in prison, right, like half of the white population is sex offenders. Unlike the blacks and the Hispanics, whites put out their sex offenders. They don't let them associate with the good guys. The robbers, the arsonists, the murderers, the drug dealers, the good guys. Good guys don't let the sex offenders hang out. So just because of the position I was in down in facilities and in the carpenter shop, I spent a lot of time talking to these child molesters. I mean, I got locked in a cage with them a couple times. Literally, it's a cage. It's called the cage.
Good times.
The wood shop. Huh? Good times. Yeah. Good times. You ever been locked in a room with 9 rapists? Well, I have. Anyways, it's tough, man. These guys have something wrong.
That's when you want to change your name to Nobody.
Nobody. Yeah. Yeah. If they ever say, "Oh, you have association with sex offenders," it's because you made me. You made me. It's funny when there's a survey you fill out when you first get into prison, which I really didn't want to fill out at all. And I got all kinds of. It's one of those things. If you don't fill it out, eventually you start losing commissary and you start losing things. So you kind of got to do this survey. So I did this survey. I delayed it as long as I possibly could. And by the time I went and took the survey, it's asking questions like, do you have any friends that are felons? Do you associate with people? And I'm like, all of them. All of my friends right now are felons. I'm like, literally, like every single. Do any of the people you hang out with or associate with? I'm like, I have a 7-year sentence. I will only be hanging out with felons from here on out. You know what I mean? Anyways, it's like dumb. All right, this is Miranda Devine. There's some other information that's come out on this Butler shooter, this Thomas Crooks. Now, I famously wrote from prison as soon as this Butler PA thing happened and Donald Trump was shot. I wrote that a crook shot Trump, and that's the most we're ever going to know. That's it. I don't believe that we're ever going to get the full story. If we don't get it in the first 48 to 72 hours, you can kind of piece it together. After 48 to 72 hours, when the news was, we don't know who he is, he has no online presence,
it's in the wind.
He's a Republican who donated to Act Blue. Right. Right. It's like that we're never going to know anything. We're never going to know anything. Cremated the body within a week, within a couple of days, washed off it's just no way, right? Well, Miranda Devine from New York Post. Now, this is the reporter who broke the Hunter Biden laptop story. She's kind of been all over the Ukraine and Biden connections. Well, she broke this other story. Turns out, unlike what they had told us for almost a year, that there was no social media presence for this 20-year-old, turns out there was pretty significant social media presence.
2020, and he just disappeared online. Very unusual. And then, of course, in July of 2024, he fired off 8 shots from a rooftop at Donald Trump at that rally in Butler, killing Corey Comparatore, who was sitting behind Donald Trump, and badly injuring 2 other rally goers, and hitting Donald Trump in the ear. Only, by a miracle did Donald Trump not get killed that day.
Wow. And he certainly is unsatisfied with the answers President Trump is that he has been given about the circumstances that led up to that moment that day. Here is the former FBI Deputy Director Paul Abbate on Crook's social media. This was July 2024. Listen here.
There were over 700 comments posted from this account. Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature.
So in your revelations, you say thanks to this enterprising source who uncovered Crook's hidden digital footprint, that we can see that he was misleading Congress by omission because he left out an entire section of Crook's online interactions from January to August of 2020, when he did that ideological backflip that you just described and went from rabidly pro-Trump to rabidly anti-Trump and then went dark, never seeming to post again. I mean, I look at the vastness of his online presence: YouTube, Snapchat, Venmo, Zelle, GroupMe, Discord, Google Play, Quizlet, Chess.com, Quora. I mean, he was everywhere. So what are your sources revealing about what the former FBI director was sharing publicly to Congress in that moment?
Well, it really is inexplicable now that we see that evolution of Thomas Crooks from being pro-Trump to anti-Trump. It's inexplicable that Paul Abate would give only that first part of the trajectory for the would-be Trump assassin. And, you know, it just led Congress and led the public to think something different about Thomas Crooks than was the reality. I don't understand why Paul Abate would do that. And I think it would be good if Congress could bring him back and ask him why. I think the president and people close to him are understandably frustrated or unsatisfied. And I think the public is unsatisfied with the answers that we've been getting from the FBI, including in the, Donald Trump FBI. We would expect it under Joe Biden, I guess, but there's no reason now why Senator Ron Johnson has had to subpoena the current FBI under Director Kash Patel for more information about Thomas Crooks, about the autopsy, about other forensic evidence and documents. And none of that's been forthcoming. And we see now from the exposure from our source of this online presence that there is a lot of other information that the FBI either chose not to look at or is somehow keeping it under wraps.
Wow. That is a lot. And we know you'll continue to report on it, and certainly the American public and President Trump.
So where this goes off the rails is, turns out one of the similarities between Thomas Crooks and Tyler Robinson is they're both furries. So, so both of these guys went from right wing. Tyler Robinson, maybe less so. He just grew up in a conservative household. But this gentleman seemed to be right wing, like neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic right wing, which, by the way, is very similar to the far left, anti-Israel, pro-Palestine wing. So that creates the political spectrum, right? If you go too far to the left, too far to the right, it starts to arc back around. You end up at the bottom at totalitarianism. Like, no matter which way you go, we want liberty in the name of the people. We want liberty in the name of me. And then you end up here and you just end up being a dictator, right? Pushing your own agenda on what you think the world should do. So if you go too far right and you're anti-Semitic, you might make some friends that are communist anti-Semitics, okay? And then pretty soon you're off to the left. That seems to be what happened to Thomas Crooks here. Seems to be he was far right and then just made a complete flip-flop and went far left, right? Probably the moment he realized Donald Trump was pro-Israel, whatever the case was. So anyways, that's again, Representative Burchart said that he thinks that this was all MK Ultra. He thinks this was all brainwashing. And a lot of people, when they think MK Ultra, you think old school cattle prods and, like abuse. MK Ultra is the blue light on your phone, man. It's tapping into the dopamine in your brain, giving you, like, that's how people end up in some of these.
It's brain reinforcement.
Yes, exactly. As you feed the dopamine to, as you're seeing things that are more and more extreme, rather than get a feeling of repulsion, you get a feeling of being drawn in. And it is absolutely technology, blue lights, dopamine, the 2-second scroll. It's TikTok brain, except it really was Facebook brain or whatever you want to call it.
But then it's weaponized.
It's weaponized. Exactly. Dr. Oz was on, he was on Newsmax, and he was talking about the Affordable Care Act and some of the fraud that's inside that thing. There are certain things that make me very optimistic for the future. we have so many broken systems and so many broken things, right? Affordable Care Act, people that are on it that are dead, it doesn't seem to ever self-clean, or the prices never come down. What kind of collective bargaining do you get where we pay more for drugs than anyone else in the world, right? Just like doesn't make any sense. So it's so nice to see the Trump administration kind of grabbing all these loose ends. It would be really easy for Trump to ignore the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare for 4 years and just focus on Russia and Ukraine and Israel and the big beautiful bill tax cuts, but just let Affordable Care go. Now he's not doing that. He's strangling the Department of Education. He's redoing HHS, right? So this is Mehmet Oz talking about what they found as they've gone through the Affordable Care Act.
Judiciary, education and workforce, and agriculture committees. That's a lot. You have your hands full.
Hold on a second.
That's not the right guy.
No, it cycled through to a different video.
Still not AI.
Still not AI. We got 30 seconds ads here. Well, I'll just read it. Dr. Oz to Newsmax. Over 4 million fraudulently on the Affordable Care Act. Dr. Mehmet Oz, administrator of the Centers of Medical blah, blah, blah. 4 million people. There are over 4 million people, alleged people, getting benefits on the Obamacare system who do not exist or weren't supposed to get benefits. That said, Oz is astronomical. That's a lot of money. Full fare. We're paying for insurance for 4 million people who don't even know they have insurance. His estimated number of fraud cases is up substantially from the Trump administration report in July. A recent analysis of 2024 enrollment data identified 2.8 million Americans either enrolled in Medicaid or in the Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP. Oz blames Democrats for the problem. When the original Affordable Care Act was created, there were problems with it, which for good or for bad, they were sort of muddling until COVID. And when COVID hit, the Democrats addressed these problems by throwing money at the issue, which they were only willing to do until now, because they knew they weren't doing it. What they were doing didn't make sense. Because of all these ill-designed moves has led to an immense fraud in the system. Look at healthcare costs in general. They're increasing by 8 to 9% a year. That is a lot more than inflation. The GDP can't keep up with that. So that's really good. Looks like the chats have been down today. Carlitz, 5D Chess is looking pretty darn good right now. That's right. And you're the only chat for today.
That we see.
Yeah, we have no idea what's
Maybe
going
they're
on
chatting
there.
it up. And
it has to do with the whole Cloudflare thing disappearing. So with that, not only did they find a lot of fraud, but then they also had a huge takedown of insurance fraud.
We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs. The largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. We are announcing today.
I don't know, but divide that out. That's like tens of millions.
Defendants.
14. Okay, so divided by what? 220 million taxpayers?
I don't know. Maybe we need to replay it because the numbers were big.
That comes out to $66,000 per taxpayer that they stole from you.
Is that all? That seemed like more.
Well, I did 220 million taxpayers, which I've heard it's down a little closer to like 150.
Okay.
Right? But 220 million taxpayers, that's all heads of household. That eliminates the kids.
Okay.
Right. That's $60,000 per person that they stole from you in your tax dollars through Medicaid fraud.
And nobody's even caring or blinking. Still, I mean, we're all so
significant portion of the national debt that you are allocating.
We're all so used to the fraud and all the BS that's going on with our economy and all the grift that we just don't even flinch anymore when we hear numbers like this.
No, it's crazy. That is $66,000.
You just bought a new truck and drove it into a cliff, Okay.
And still have to pay the interest.
Right. But everybody in America just did it. We all just drove trucks.
We all just did it. We all got one.
Okay.
You all got a Dodge. So,
next.
That is
so amazing.
Why. Now you have to understand there's a cause and effect. When you see something like that, $14 billion, 324 people took down, right? $14 billion in Medicaid fraud. And then you wonder why the right is so supportive of stuff like this. This is Department of Homeland Security's just checking out a roofing company.
Oh, sorry.
over there I appreciate you chatting with me, man. I'm just, it's all about our talking about
Ice talking about the roof.
This is ICE. They're just asking, where are you guys all born? They just pull up.
I was
Start
born
asking
in
the roofers where they're born.
And you, ma'am?
My name is Pamela Gabriel. Pamela Gabriel.
Where were you born at?
Ecuador.
Ecuador?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a passport and visa?
Yes, sir.
Would you mind if I take a look at it?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, awesome. And you, sir?
By the way, that's due process. Do you have a passport and visa? I do. Can I take a look at it? So that's like, that to me is, ICE is just showing up asking random roofing companies, do you work here? I would never thought I would have seen it. Yeah. All those years on construction jobs with mariachi music playing, knowing that if ICE ever showed up, I'd be the only one on the job site, right? The idea that they're doing that is stunning, but why are they doing it? It's because of what we just played. These are directly related issues, right? Illegals coming in, getting insurance benefits at your expense, full fare. That exposes loopholes that other fraudsters take advantage of to get dead grandma insurance, and so don't be surprised that they're doing that, and they're taking it a step further. Stephen Miller said they are going to be doing sweeping visa cancellations.
It's very clear in the comments that you just played, which is that he's talking about the semiconductor industry, which is one of the most coveted industries in the world, one of the most national security important industries in the world. Very few other countries are able to compete in this space, and all of those jobs left for Taiwan. And so the advanced semiconductor industry, which is essential to our national security, has been taken out of the country. So he's talking about a program in which you have a knowledge transfer to Americans of how to do a very specific manufacturing process. That's completely separate and apart from the fact, as you mentioned, that President Trump, through 212F, has put a $100,000 fee on new H-1Bs. We're already seeing a dramatic change in the processing of these visas as a result of that. The Department of Labor has launched Project Firewall to fight illegal discrimination against Americans and illegal abuses of the H-1B program. You also have the highest standard of vetting that have ever been in place in new visas, including foreign student visas. The State Department has revoked tens of thousands of visas, and they're just getting started with tens of thousands of more. We have a new focus on denaturalizations. We have a new focus on cutting back on welfare tourism and welfare migration. And of course, you've seen, again, for the first time in over half a century, net negative migration to this country. You have more foreigners leaving the country than those that are being added on a permanent basis. The last time that happened, again, was over half a century ago during the period in American history in which we had net negative migration for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I think that was in the 1950s under Eisenhower.
In the comments that
when he was like, you gotta go home.
Do we have any footage of people like crossing the river going back to Mexico, or how do you verify numbers?
That's a good question.
How do you verify that people are actually leaving the country? I mean, we knew when people were coming across the border and they kept describing it as millions and millions. It's like, well, I mean, I can see a lot of people, but unless you like see a million people, how do you know that millions of people came? But on the same note, how do you know millions were leaving? How do you know all these numbers aren't just cooked by both of them?
I think they're just leaving.
Okay.
Like, I think they're grabbing an airplane and they're flying home. Because remember, the deal is, if you're here illegally and you go home on your own, in 10 years, you can apply to come back.
Okay.
Right. If we catch you, you're never coming back.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people have taken the option. Your H-1B visa holders, the people who have a job, who are like, I do want to come back. Right. They've taken that option. And I'm sure there is just a migration. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they do allow them to walk one way south. Right. Like, we don't stop anybody that's walking south.
Right.
Now, back when there was the big, I think it was Eagle Pass, Ponyboy might correct me. They had the footage of all the Haitians that were there. And it was like the first time under the Biden administration, we got to see it, right? The volume.
Oh, when they were under the bridge.
Yep. And then they did the drone blocking. So you couldn't even fly a drone around the southern border because they've got that, the blocking airspace, right? So it's very difficult to observe this. We see a lot of just photo lenses of a few hundred people crossing the river. But you have to remember, you're watching a 5-minute clip. There's 24 hours in a day. The pace doesn't slow down. Like that was the report on the ground, was it is a nonstop stream of people. Like even if it's just a couple people trickle all day long, that's thousands of people at one location. It's, you know, and I think that's what was going on, where it was hard to say, you know, oh, look, there's a caravan of 20,000 people, turn them away. They were coming in 10, 20, 10, 20, you know, just.
Yeah. I could see it with my eyes, you know, but I'm not seeing people leave in that kind of number. And it would be hard for me to imagine like 20 million people leaving by plane and us not noticing. How many planes would that be? I don't know.
You know, it just goes to, you only know the world around you. Right. I had that same problem when I had my youngest son, and they said 50% of the kids in the local hospital here were from illegal aliens, like from they weren't citizens.
And I guess why
I was like, where are those people? Because here in this county, we don't have like this overwhelming migrant population. No. So it's like, where are they? Where are they?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I can't tell just from boots on the ground that 20 million people left.
Yeah, I know. It's the underbelly. But then the other thing too is, and this is where people are realizing, yes, they did integrate into society. Yeah, there's some towns in Mexico or in Texas that are just all migrants, and there's these pockets.
And they speak Spanish.
But a lot of it is, yes, you have a roofing crew with 4 people and 2 of them are illegal. You know, you've got a construction crew over there with framers and only the contractor is legal. You know,
well, weirdly, we had that situation here in this county.
Yeah, they tuck themselves in. Yeah, I know. In this county, I know. We're going to start our local show and like the local news, the sheriff's police radar. They got a lot of stuff going on in this county. There's going to be a lot to talk about. Trump addresses affordability. America is so damn lucky I'm president. Americans are so damn lucky to have President Trump in office after 4 years of massive government spending, inflation, record high interest rates, and a burgeoning housing crisis. Trump said in a speech Monday, you probably would have had a bankrupt country. You are so damn lucky that I won the election. I'm telling you, Trump told McDonald's franchise executives at the company's Impact Summit, nobody has done what we've done in terms of pricing. We took over a mess. It's absolutely true. This was from Trump's speech. Oh, where is it? It's where to go.
Have you been to McDonald's or any other fast food lately?
Huh?
The prices are out of control.
Oh, dude.
And the lines in the drive-thru are showing. They are getting empty. I mean, there's hardly anybody going out anymore.
Well, we're the #1 state in the United States to eat out. Most expensive state to eat out in.
And it is drying up, though. I mean,
yeah. There's a clip I play in my 1776 presentation that's an AI clip, but at one point it goes, things got so bad they were using they were buying Chipotle on a credit card. And the kid goes, financing a burrito? And he goes, yeah, it was pretty bad. When I go to Chipotle by myself and I'm $24 in for a burrito and a drink, I'm like,
exactly.
What the heck, man? So this is Donald Trump at this McDonald's Impact Summit.
I'm thrilled to be here with the men and the women who are really the heart and soul of one of the greatest, most admired, and most successful companies in the history of the world, frankly. The one and only McDonald's. I've gone there a couple of times. And I'm honored to stand before you as the very first former McDonald's fry cook ever to become president of the United States. And I actually was there for about 30 minutes, and that was 30 minutes longer than Kamala was there. Right? Despite her job at McDonald's, that didn't work out too well. And the person at McDonald's that informed us off the record that she never worked there, whoever you are, we appreciate that. That was very I'm thrilled to be here with the men.
Dude, when I was in prison, it was not fun, but it was fun to watch Trump's campaign, the garbage truck, the McDonald's, the assassination. It was just, Leo, in prison, it's all snapshots and stories, right? You're in the rec room, you look up and you see the snapshot. So when Trump gets shot all day long, they're playing that, and everybody in there's like, you know, you respect a tough guy like that, you know? Yeah, that guy fight. Yeah. In fact, us J6ers, that started to be our thing. Anytime we'd separate, we'd look at each other.
Yeah.
You know, fight. We'd split off to go to our separate housing units. Anyways, good times. So the affordability crisis, part of the challenge is Americans are uninformed as to how things actually work. What is inflation? What is deflation? What is affordability? What's average rate wages? Like, people want prices to come down. The problem is if prices come down, so do stock values, and then your retirement goes away. There's kind of this trickle effect. So we can't just bring prices down. Some things that are priced variably, eggs, milk, cheese, bread, gas, that can go up and down within kind of a margin. But typically, once a price goes up, it's not coming down. Once you decide your house is worth 200 grand, you don't really want to bring it down to 150. You know what I mean?
And it feels like to me that the eggs and the milk thing are designed to avoid stagflation and keep the thing rolling and keep everybody under the impression that, yeah, inflation's bad, but it's not so bad because you can still buy eggs and milk.
Maybe something like that. But that's, again, part of this is a communication problem on the Trump side. They've gotten inflation down to 1, 0, whatever it is, as opposed to the 9 it was under Joe Biden. But prices don't come down like that. Wages have to rise.
Yeah, he's right about the fact that inflation has come down. It's come way down from its peak during the Biden years. But the prices that went up then during the Biden years remain higher. That's what happens in an inflation, and it takes a while for people's wages and so on to catch up with that. It's there are certain areas where prices do come down, volatile prices in groceries and fuel and that sort of thing, and they have done that to some extent. But other things are going up, and people feel that every day, and they are still feeling the effects of the Biden inflation. So for the president to go around saying, as he did there for a while, that everything was great and prices are coming down and all that there's some truth to that. But the problem is it's political malpractice to tell people that what they feel and are experiencing day by day is not real. That doesn't work. The Biden people tried that. Remember, inflation was supposed to be transitory, but it never quite transited. And we ended up with higher prices over a long period of time. And they still persist to some extent.
Yeah. And what does this?
They still exist, right? Prices aren't really going to come down. But unfortunately, the Trump administration gets painted with Biden's sin. This is Hassett here talking about just that.
Now, inflation is still 3%. It's still too high. Now, oil prices, energy prices, there are certain things where they have come down. But when you keep saying prices are falling, that's not true. Because inflation is still, the 3% is on top of all the inflation we had during the Biden years. So we got all that inflation plus an additional 3%. And we should, I think you should admit that.
A more precise way to say it, though, Joe, is that purchasing power has gone up. And so real wages, that's W divided by P for our technical people in the audience, have gone up by about $1,200 this year. So the way to think about it is that we've dug a $3,000 hole because of Biden policies, and we've gained $1,200 on the way out already, which should give you a great deal of hope for the future that the wage increases that we're seeing will continue. And even if inflation stays positive, make it so that people feel way better when they go to the grocery store and to buy a car. We've reduced the cost of buying a car with the deductibility of interest. I mean, there's a million things that we're doing to fix this problem, but it's just kind of astonishing to me that the cost problem is somehow being blamed on us. Now,
yeah. Why is it being blamed on them? They didn't cause the prices to go up. They got in office and they've stayed the same, right? They've stayed right at their level. But the difference has been is they've come from the bottom and try to raise wages. What you looking at?
It just seems like you're zooming in over time.
I did zoom in a little bit earlier. There you go. Pretty. Okay. Fed chairman gave a little speech at the Fed's Waller. So this was at, what is this called? I can't remember what this is called, but this kind of goes in with the story we played yesterday about how the Fed in San Francisco did this big 150-year research, and they found out, tariffs actually lower inflation by causing higher domestic wages and preventing undercutting of the market and oversupply of goods and stuff like that. I mean, there's a whole series of things that it does that prevents inflation, which is counterintuitive to the people who just want to call it a tax, right? So this is a Fed governor being asked about raising wages and, if they're going to raise them or lower them.
Saying it's above target or tariffs are going to cause a bunch of inflation, which it ain't happening. It should have already happened. We're not seeing it. We're not forecasting it. So
start giving me a lot better reasons for saying you're not going to cut, saying it's above target.
Did you catch that? He's at a Fed governor's meeting, and he's like, listen, y'all said tariffs are going to cause inflation. It's not happening. It hasn't happened, and we're not projecting for it to happen.
Okay.
So give me better reasons than to cut rates, because my cheat sheet that I have to come into work once a month to do tells me to cut rates. But politically, they're being told not to cut rates. And he's like, you're going to have to come up with a better reason now. Tariff fear mongering doesn't work after 9 months of hardcore tariff use, and it's having the opposite effect. So we are working against our own cheat sheet of, when employment high, lower rate, when unemployment high, lower rates. And that's where we're starting to see unemployment's going up, inflation's down. They're losing their tool belt, right? Because they're going to tamp unemployment, but then we're going to raise inflation by lowering rates. They're getting themselves in quite the pickle. So we will see how that turns out. Now, yesterday I teased a little video about an insurance company scam. So I found the video and I want to play it. This, again, you've got 2 million people or 4 million? Did we say 4 million people on Obamacare that are getting insurance that don't even know they have insurance?
It's a lot.
And those premiums get paid, by the way, whether or not you use the service. So this is what happens when you actually use the service. This will make you want to pull your hair out. Before we do that, though, let me jump over to the chats. Good morning, Shantini. Peasants, a little late this morning. Glad you made it. Pony Boy, there was that was Del Rio, I think. Next town over. Yep, that was right. That's right, Del Rio. Maria Easel, if they leave, they get a free flight and $1,000. I heard over 2 million people have left already. Yes, that is correct. That's what they've been saying. So, yeah. Yes. Okay. So here we go. Insurance, the big scam.
How can I help you? So I think there's a mistake on the bill, but maybe you could help me out. We got a bill, and then we realized that you guys didn't have our insurance, so we sent you the insurance, and it looks like the bill went up.
It went up?
Yeah, the first bill we got without the insurance was $600. And then the second one was almost $1,300.
Okay. Yeah, so that the first invoice you received, that's a discount that you receive if you're uninsured. So you're not eligible for the discount since you are insured. And so the bill was $2,342.14. We billed your insurance. Your insurance only paid $1,078.85.
What does he think?
Can I go back to the discount without the insurance?
No, so you're insured, so you're not eligible for the discount.
Oh, dang. Maybe I'll just be uninsured.
If I go cancel my insurance, am I eligible for the discount?
No, sir, because we checked eligibility and you do have active coverage for data service.
Again. I needed to cancel it before I got the service.
Yeah.
To get the discount.
You're only eligible for the discount if you're uninsured.
Okay, so I'll get cheaper health care if I'm uninsured.
If you're uninsured, you're eligible for the discount, correct?
Jeez.
Is this common? Like I pay for insurance and I end up paying more out of pocket because I pay for a premium? That's wild.
No, this is a new law that started 2024 AB 716, and the law is if you receive a discount if you're uninsured.
Okay.
So when we first send a invoice to the patient, we bill them as if they're uninsured. If you're insured, unfortunately, you're not eligible for the discount.
Okay, so just if I have the incentives straight here, if I want to pay less for medical care, I should cancel my insurance if my daughter needs life-saving medical care?
Just so I'm clear on the incentives.
I was sitting here thinking, if you go into a restaurant and you've got a coupon and you whip out the coupon, and all of a sudden it costs double. Aren't you just throwing the coupon away?
Why did I get the coupon? Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And why do I pay the premiums? Health insurance. What a scam. All right, guys, it is about time for us to head over to private, which is too bad. We're rolling with a ton of people on Rumble here. So we're going to jump over to private for the unoffendables, and we're going to be talking a little bit about redistricting in Indiana. We're going to talk about New York City now signing on to international law.
What?
That'll be interesting. And then we'll talk a little bit about the FEMA chief who's resigned suddenly. So we will talk to the unoffendables over in private. The rest of you, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.